What's going on, Gemini? And welcome to my channel, Alchemist. Justin here, and I hope you're having a fantastic week so far. So, for those of you who are returning, welcome back, Soul Tribe. I appreciate your subscriptions, your likes, and shares. Your support really does mean a lot to me, and it keeps us growing. And for those of you who are new, welcome. I'm happy Higher Self has brought you here. We are in for an amazing journey. Now, the theme of this week's monthly spread is going to be a monthly check-in, Gemini. I imagine your month has been just possibly crazy. Been running around like a chicken with your head cut off. So now we're just getting your head back attached there, Gemini. And just so you're all aware, this is a general reading, not a one-to-one. So take what resonates with you, leave the rest with me, and never force a reading on a situation, okay? So with all that being said, let's jump into it. Your space has been cleansed. Gems, feeling lovely. Just good energy all around here, Gemini. Now with this spread, I'm going to be going until Higher Self says stop. We're just working with it, or just going with the flow here, Gemini. And just so you're all aware, this reading and all of my readings really, they're not gender specific readings. We're just working with the energy. So apply energies to people as they make sense in your situation, Gemini. And then lastly, the deck set I'm using. This one that I'm shuffling is the Tarot of the Divine deck. And then the other deck that I'll be using is the Anatomy of a Witch Oracle deck. And I'll include links for these decks and other decks that I like using down in the description box below. So definitely check that out if you're interested, Gemini. Interesting. Let's see what's going on here. Fascinating. So it's this one really kind of popped out to me right at the bat, Gemini, because when I was doing like your pre-shuffle, this had flipped over in reverse earlier. And with the Ten of Swords, this is a good sign, I know how this imagery might look a little intense. I think of the Ten of Swords that I have, this one, I think, honestly, this deck really brings it. But I think of the Ten of Swords that I have, this one is the most intense. So I feel like maybe some of us are getting over a situation that I really feel like that might have, that I really feel like hurt in a really kind of deep way. I feel like, Gemini, I feel like in the sense of like I really feel like we haven't been able to find our happiness. I feel like maybe there was a betrayal as far as like, maybe we had trusted someone with some maybe some information, and maybe they went and told somebody, or maybe we had like an altercation, maybe, or like a disagreement, maybe with like a family member, maybe someone close. But I feel like that there's something here that maybe we're getting over a situation. Hopefully we were able to remedy this, if this was with someone, hopefully we were able to remedy that. But even if this wasn't like with a person, maybe this is just something, maybe we were at, the Ten of Swords can be a number of things. Really, it signifies this energy of that we've really hit our lowest. And, the really nice thing about it, Gemini, and I know this may sound cliche, is that there's only up from here, more. There's only up from here with the Ten of Swords. And if we've been feeling in this place of where, because sometimes when we're in this energy for a while, really kind of trapped in our head, because this is the Sun in Gemini. And I really feel like, when we're trapped in our head, and we may be, because I'm not even sure, depending on the degree, I'm not sure what you might have even been telling yourself during this situation. Because here's the thing, Gemini, too, with your energy. You have a very active mind, whether you realize it or not. Anything with like any sort of like high Gemini placements, that's just going to be the tendency. So if we're in this place of, if we're painting that it's just going to be nothing but we're just going to be unhappy and, feeding into this like negative scope here, then that's going to be your world, Gemini. That's the reality that you're painting. And it's not to take away from what someone has done to you, or if that's the case, but it's just to realize that where I understand that a situation has happened to us, a situation does not define you, It's more so about how we take our how we use our feelings, or how we feel about a situation, that's going to be what defines you. What we attach to. If we decide to, and I hope that makes sense. It's one of those things that if we're fueling the doom and the gloom and the lack of growth, then that's what's going to happen here. Because now with the justice card popping up, for me, this is it really is like a cause and effect type of thing. If you're feeding negativity and giving your energy towards this, whatever the situation might be, it really is what permeates out in your world, Gemini. Because we think of yourself as like a magnet, and if that's the energy that you're feeding into, that's the energy that you're attracting. And it's not to say something too, that's not to say that like happiness can't come your way, Gemini. It just makes it a lot harder for the universe to provide more of that relief and that sense of healing if we keep entertaining that situation that has transpired. And something to think about too, Gemini. I just remember reading something not too long ago where I thought it was an interesting little blurb there. It's just like when you're in situations like this or find yourself, it's like, how is this contributing to the present moment? What is this? Like how does this help the growth? Because sometimes too, I think we can get so wrapped up in the past or even wrapped up in the future that we forget to be in the present moment. And Gemini, approach this situation however you need to, but at some point you do want to start taking steps towards healing, because that's where the growth happens. And two, that makes it so that when someone else is going through this thing, Gemini, because these situations, they do happen to others. If you ever thought throughout this situation where it's like, man, I wish I could have had someone to turn to, Gemini, you could be that person that starts up maybe like a program or something like that for other people who are going through a situation. Let's say for example, you have people who are in a relationship, in like a really controlling relationship. Maybe this is something, for example, you might have went through. Maybe we were dealing with like a domineering force, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in just like a relationship. Maybe we're dealing something with work as well, or maybe dealing something with work. Maybe it could be something with family. But if there was this like dominating force that might have been in your world, and you managed to get out of this thing okay, you can create like a shelter, like a sanctuary, maybe for a safe space, a haven for other people who might be going through a similar type of situation. If that's if that's what's going down, apply it to your situation. Gemini, keep it, please. Okay. But I really feel like whatever this is, Gemini, however we go about this thing, I feel like that this is something I feel like is like a blessing in disguise, and I know how that sounds, believe me, and I'm not saying that to diminish the severity of whatever you're going down, but there is abundance that can come from this situation. Because when I think about the Ace of Coins, abundance it's more than just the money. I'm all about making it rain, but it's more so like, what is it that your abundance that you need at this time, because some of us might be feeling like we have been alone in this situation, that we've been going through, because the Five of Coins can be a card of poverty, but again, it doesn't just have to be with money. It can be emotional poverty. It could be maybe even like a and stay with me, in my head this makes sense, like a social poverty, in the sense of like maybe we're lack of communication, or hopefully that makes sense. We're throwing out all kinds of stuff here, Gemini. We're just working through the thoughts. But I do feel like that if we were to take a second, Gemini, and I know this is going to take some practice, but gratitude, even in situations like this, whenever they go down, because here's the thing, if you're able to find gold in this situation here, find some abundance, imagine the next go round when another situation happens like this. Because Gemini, such is life. Life ebbs and flows, but if we pick up the wisdom from these situations here. Because believe it or not, we can sit, like I was saying, we can sit here and think that there's no kind of hope, and trying to fuel our lives with, like, this little match here. Or we can tap on our abundance. There's it's one of those things. It's just like, how much do you want to stay in a negative energy? You know what I mean? And how do we navigate that going forward? I really feel like this is going to give you the tools to learn how to instinctively, when these lessons come through here, they're going to get a little bit easier and a little bit easier. And then next thing you know, Gemini, you'll be waiting for the situations. You'll be like, I'm all kind of overdue for some wisdom here. Where's the growth at? Come on, universe. And I don't know if you're going to be that aggressive, but don't let whatever this thing that has gone down here, Gemini, don't let that limit the expansion. Don't let that limit your opportunities. Because sometimes too, I feel like that when we choose to like carry things with us, whether they be like situations or, regrets or anything like that, over time, Gemini, where I understand maybe for some, if this was like whatever went down, we're choosing to be sad. Maybe some of us might feel like that we deserve this energy right here, and that we don't feel like we deserve to grow from this thing. I feel like that's even that, Gemini. It's like, why do you think that is? Why do you feel that that you can't grow from this thing, that there can't be an expansion from forgiveness? Forgiveness, one, for if this was a person who did something to us. Two, Gemini, maybe this is something that, like, I'm not calling you out here, but maybe this is something you might have said to someone. And if that's the case, and if things went down, maybe we are not able to reconcile it at the moment, show forgiveness for yourself. What happened, and it's just like because here's my thing. I feel like with regrets, regrets for me or at least I feel like they should, or at least they could become these things of mindfulness, of really great mindfulness. Because I feel like if something has happened, when I think about things that I like, because I don't really try to carry regrets. I do feel like that, and that's really nothing against. I'm not coming at you, Gemini, but I think that regrets, they can. It's to remind us that we never want to operate at that vibration again. That you realize that you were at a frequency that turned you off, that really didn't resonate, that was very dissonant. We might have got caught up, in the heat of emotions and whatnot. So I'm not sure what could have happened. But regrets, I feel like, are meant to remind us to like, okay, this is what you're capable of when you're operating at a low vibration. And it's to deliver mindfulness. It's to allow us, like, hey, just because you did that once, that thing doesn't control you, and it does not define you. It's meant to help you. It's meant to help you grow from this situation here, and it really does. It helps us to become just like a compassionate healer, Gemini, anymore. Because when I think of your energy too, your energy is very social. Some of you, I feel like, if you're the type that likes, to like kind of chat, maybe you find yourself chatting with strangers or whatnot. You never know when situations may come up, when these little nuggets of wisdom that you have here can help someone grow. But if we're not healing ourselves, because the thing is with the tens, that the tens are meant to be like, okay, we're at the tail end of this energy here. It's time to move past this stuff. It's time to get the wisdom from this energy. And I feel like with this being the sun in Gemini, allowing yourself that freedom, Yeah, Gemini. Let's get some more on this. Because, Gemini too, if we're hanging on to stuff like that, past things, it really does even to affect just like how you navigate intuitively. Okay, we're keeping that one. Not keeping those. And it really does. I feel like some of you may be at this place of where we're right at the, I feel like we're right at the border here of getting ready to step over into healing. But it's just there's something that I feel like that we're clinging on to here, Gemini. And I feel like that it would benefit some of you to just kind of sit with that and figure out what it is that's keeping you from moving on from whatever it is, and really dissect that. And Gemini, something too, this isn't medical advice, but when we do get into things of, when I think Ten of Swords situations can be intense, and deal with this as it makes sense. If this is something where you have to, if it gets a little too sensitive, we start getting to some kind of soft spots here, leave it alone. You felt what you needed to do, put that away. If it becomes too much of anything, that's a signal we're on the right track. And then, when it makes sense to pick that back up again, maybe try some journaling. Gemini, this is one where, I have a Gemini moon, and I've been talking with some people, and like just been thinking about Gemini energy, really energy in general, but really kind of your energy in particular, just because it is so intellectual, so you're such an intellectual sign. And I feel like that if it's one of those things that if we haven't figured out like how we focus, the amount of energy that I feel like Gemini can consume is a lot, and I feel like that sometimes that can get thoughts all kind of over the place here, Gemini. And because I just feel like Gemini, you just sun, moon, rising, or just any placement, you have like an active mind, and I think that all signs would benefit from this, but you in particular, I think would benefit from doing some sort of writing, whether that be in like poetry, journaling, something to just help you get your thoughts out when we find ourselves kind of stuck in situations. I think that sometimes if things stay all up in the dome, then it's like a wild house party. It feels like you can't get order. But when we bring it to home, manifest it and bring it out on like paper or something, then it starts to make more sense. It's like, oh, I've been thinking about X, Y, and Z. Okay, so now I can tackle this, and that. Okay, oh, and that's kind of deep. I'm gonna put that on the next page. That'll be, something along those lines, Gemini. I feel like that making that a practice, I feel like would benefit you. And that's just from my personal experience, take that as it resonates. But, or just something to where you have an outlet to channel your thoughts. You know what I mean? Like it's one thing to just consume all the time, but there needs to be a way. I feel like there needs to be a way for you to express that as well. I feel like that's how you manifest, Gemini. You take the information that you've learned, and then we apply it. Then we put it into action. Thoughts becoming things. That's where I feel like you really where your manifestation shines, Gemini. More. So that's just something to think about, because really I feel like, and judgment has been going around a little bit. I've been seeing it popping up more and more. So I feel like that, as a soul tribe, we're getting ready to push that envelope and whatever that means for you. I feel like we're getting ready to go to that next level here, Gemini. And I think that what can come from you here really is just some extraordinary healing, and then just like, compassion. just all over the place. But let's see what else some thoughts that higher self might have for you here, Gemini. Anything else? Okay, so we're good on the tarot cards. Let's see what are some last thoughts here. Interesting. Okay, we got the Eight of Wands and the Two of Wands in reverse here, Gemini. And, I feel like that some of us might be at a crossroads right now and we're not sure which way to go. I think that, because it's not even that I feel like, Gemini, that you don't want to heal. It's that I'm not sure what that hesitation is, but I feel like that, in order to get it so that things start moving quickly, or start moving at all, I feel like it's time to get into motion, with this Eight of Wands, I just feel like that the energy has stagnated, this feels like that it's just like that we've been on like a loop for a while, I feel like it's kind of like the same old stuff here, Gemini, and I think that it's time to just to kind of shake stuff up, or just to kind of, and what I mean by that is just like how we're thinking, how we're operating. I feel like that we've trapped ourselves. This could be potentially very Eight of Swords, where it's like a self-imposed prison here, but the nice thing about that is that it's a prison you built, and you can knock down the bars whenever you want. It's that it's just taking that initiative there. So just something to think about, Gemini. But let's go ahead and get into some oracle cards here, so I can get you out there and start. So we got some ruminating to do, And when I'm looking at these energies, Gemini, I'm looking at the Two of Wands and the High Priestess in reverse, and I just feel like we're in this place where we're not trusting our gut, and I think that it's really channeling into that intuition. And if there's been signs that healing needs to get done, or that higher self, God, Jesus, Buddha, however you connect with the source, is trying to push you in a direction, I feel like pay that some attention, because I think that there's a pentacle for you there. There's abundance coming for you there. But just something to contemplate, Gemini, because I know this can be a lot to process, depending on what we're going through here. Okay. Interesting. So first card we got here, Gemini, is the Witch Heart. And I feel like that this is really about getting eyes on your emotions and really understanding how you're feeling through like, be as nuanced as even to notice how you feel during, like, let's say like the next lunar cycle. When I'm recording this, the lunar cycle will be coming up on the 19th, and in like a few days, you got like about 4 or 5 days from when this is coming out. But I feel like, and you can always plan to do healing whenever you want, Gemini. But I was just thinking, if you wanted like a marker, something to, look at progress, start with this new lunar cycle this weekend. Set a goal. Think about like, okay, I want to get to where I'm not like, or where I'm trying to get better. And when I think better, Gemini, it doesn't even necessarily that I'm asking you, or expecting you to be like 100% happy, skipping, doing cartwheels outside. But it's just more so about just getting at least back to normal. You know what I mean? Because like if we resonating with this, when was the last time that you just felt like yourself? When it just when you didn't feel like it, just like your head and your heart weren't just like all over the place. Just something to think about more. Just something to think about, when we're dealing with these emotions. Because like I was saying, it's these things wax and wane. Anymore? Okay. Yeah, these situations wax and wane here. Oh, wow. Gemini, I can't make. Let's switch back over, because you saw when that happened, right? I hadn't even pulled it out yet. It waxes and wanes, Gemini. And thank you. What is it? Even I lost my train of thought. Okay. These energies wax and wane. And it's understanding that because sometimes you're gonna, when we're going through the healing, there are times when you're gonna feel like, all right, now I'm making some progress. This is good. And then something comes in your realm. It might remind you of the situation. It's just like, oh crap, I still feel some kind of way about it. And that's not to say that you haven't grown, Gemini, because when I think about this too, when we're going through this healing, do like weekly check-ins with yourself. I know these are monthly, but do like check-ins with yourself. If you want to, do it daily. But just like seeing like, how do I feel today? Where's my emotional state at? Do I feel like I'm in a good place? If not, what's going on? Am I thinking about bills coming up, or is there something up with the family? Kids. What could it be? And then try to maybe find a way to let that be like, okay, how is that affecting me in the present moment? Okay, what is that? Okay, nothing's wrong. Okay, and you'd be surprised, Gemini, that really can bring you down to Zen here. And I feel like that with this Banish card coming up, this is your last card here, that it's about taking old ways of operating and just letting those things go. You know what? This situation that transpired, this might be a little extreme, but and don't judge me, Gemini, but I just saw the Wakanda Forever movie not too long ago, and from when I'm recording this yesterday, or was it yesterday? Like literally within like the last few days, probably it was just this past weekend. But there was a part that I really liked, and if you remember, whenever this situation went down, if there was like an article of clothing that you were wearing, and if you have this, able to do this, Gemini, maybe find some symbol to. I like how, my whole thing to bringing that up is that I liked how for when they were mourning, they took the clothes that they were mourning, and when it was time to let go, it was like a year later, they burned the clothes as a symbol, And I feel like that's maybe something for you, do something maybe symbolic to represent the letting go of this situation here. Maybe write yourself, like when I was talking about writing, maybe write how you feel about the situation, things that went down, end with forgiveness. And then maybe take a lighter and just let it be safe. Let me be. Don't start a forest fire, Gemini. But just maybe maybe that symbolism might help take that steps for healing as well. Because symbols can be powerful. Even how. I don't know if you've ever had the Empress with me, but when the Empress pops out, I have such a visceral response. It's insane, but it's different for everybody. Symbols can evoke different things out of people, and just something to think about while you're dealing with this energy, Gemini. And I think that this will help you get to where your heart feels more and where your head and your heart feel more balanced, and you feel more in alignment, and that normalcy is back, that equilibrium is established. So then now we can start getting towards that happy place again. So I dig it. I think I'm gonna leave that there, Gemini. Hopefully you liked that. If you did, give it a thumbs up and share this, Gemini. If you know someone who might be like going through this stuff, might have Gemini in their placement. Yeah, let's raise that vibration. Let's help get the soul tribe through this thing. And then if you haven't already, subscribe. And then if you want to hit that bell button, you'll get notified when I release videos each week. And technology and it's funny thinking about Gemini. I want to say one of the things that Gemini covers, at least Mercury, your ruler, covers, is like technology and stuff. And you would think having the moon so close or in such a strong placement in my chart, I'd be so tech savvy. No. I'm getting there. I'm working on it. I just got an Instagram. What I'm doing on it, I'm existing. I'm working on some stuff. So stay tuned with that. I told Aries next check in, and see if I've actually done some things. It's been more of a thing to connect. So nature, my problem. And Lastly, if you have any Cancer in your placement, because you got the High Priestess here, which is Cancer's ruler, but come check out my other channel, the Chariot and Friends. Sun, Moon, Rising, doesn't matter where you have it, Gemini, or maybe I hope not, but maybe you were dealing with a Cancer. If something went down, maybe you're trying to understand how we tick and how you operate in this situation. But either way, come on over. We're not that bad, I promise, because we definitely talk about the High Priestess all the time. Well, when she pops up, and lunar shenanigans. It's just a good old time, Gemini, and all that housekeeping down in the description box below. But let's get your surprise card. So I can get you out of here. Gemini, this is going to be shameless. But you got the Queen of Cups here as one of your surprise cards. That's Cancer's cards. Come on over. I love it. Thanks, girl. Now that's promotion at its finest. Symbols. You see how this... I can't. And you got the touch card as your oracle card, surprise card. What do you mean? Gemini, let's get serious. I feel like with the Queen of Cups popping up, when I think of Cancerian energy, we and the moon, that energy, we tend to be, because my sun is in Cancer, and we learn our lessons from the past. That's where Cancerians are tied to the past, and all of our experiences help us navigate instinctually in the present. And naturally, well, of course, we're intuitive, but that's neither here nor there. But I feel like, Gemini, reflect on this situation that has happened here. Really dissect this, what went down. I feel like when you're analyzing this moment, what were you wearing in this thing? What was said, what you were feeling? Were there some things that maybe we could have been more mindful? And I feel like with this as well, any of these sense cards that come up here, Gemini, that have been popping up in this deck, I really feel like that they're asking us to really just to tap into the present moment. Where are you at right now? Is everything okay? Because sometimes when we're just feeding this loop all the time, that's just our body stays in that state where it'll hold on to that stuff. But if we allow ourselves, some kind of tactile, because a touch card, I feel like maybe when we find ourselves kind of wrap up in these thoughts, pour yourself like a cup of hot tea, or maybe like a warm beverage, and just kind of be in that warmth. And maybe that's something that, and feel that warmth, and process, is that bringing you comfort? Maybe doing just little ththings like that to remind you that presently, in this moment right now, everything is fine. Sure, you have there are probably 100 things that you can be thinking about, but right now, are we good? Am I dreaming? Is everything lovely? You know what I mean, Gemini? Stuff like that. Really kind of checking in with yourself, and just making sure that we do have an understanding of these feelings that we're going through, because Cancer is I want to say, probably the most emotional sign of the zodiac. And so it's really important for all of us, to be aware of our emotions, and it's not about not feeling it. It's about, you feel it, you understand it, and then you let that feeling go. It's not attaching to it. It's observing. That's the energy that I feel like these last surprise cards are just kind of asking you. Observe when you get in these states, how you're feeling, and then how we can go about applying some healing energy, because the Queen of Cups is very nurturing energy, very, very familial, and is all about wanting that emotional stability and emotional growth and healing. So just something to think about. Gemini, just put hands, just hands, and just of love. Really pour love in compassion into yourself, Gemini. So I like that. I think I'm gonna leave that there. So stay safe out there. Dealing with this stuff. Depending on the degrees, Gemini, be very mindful with the state that you're in, and don't push it. Don't try to force the healing. Heal as much as it makes sense, and again, when it becomes too much, pull back a little bit. Okay, that's fine. And then too, think check in like a week and just see the progress. When we start taking these steps, maybe doing positive affirmations, practicing gratitude, showing compassion. See how that has elevated you, because we may not be getting this judgment overnight. It may not be like a poof. It might be one of those, it's like an incremental one. It's just like judgment is just trying to get your attention. It's just like, hey, you're getting ready to level up. Like it or not, compassion and love and all that stuff is coming your way, Gemini. So brace yourself. That's what I feel like judgment is doing. It's like, if we got to do it in baby steps, just like I'm down to kick it with you on your journey, however it takes, Gemini, the judgment will do the same. So stay safe out there with this energy. And then when you're done and done some good healing, you raise that vibration to the moon. And if you're having troubles, depending on the steps, how long this takes, this is me putting your arm around me, and I'm gonna help you raise that vibration, Gemini, because that's what we do. We're a team. That's the whole point of this experience. It's all of us helping each other be the best versions of ourselves every moment of every day. So let's do all those things. Let's just do the good work, Gemini, and I will catch you on the next one later.